And hello, welcome to this video. So in the last video we found out that our tech helpers weren't actually working very well with our regular HTML code here. For example, I want a minimum and maximum value for my temperature in Fahrenheit, but for some reason my min and max thing doesn't work as well as, let's say, over here. It works very well here. Okay, so how do we do the validation, the asp.NET call way? Okay, using all these bind properties and everything like that. So that's what we will go through in this video. Okay, so first thing first, I just want to introduce you to this page called Part 9, Add Validation to ASP.NET, called MVC App. MVC, remember, Model View and Controller. You should know what that is already. Okay, so if not, yeah, you can go, yeah, never mind, you have to go and see. I assume you know. Okay, so if you take a look at these things in the boxes here, these are actually sort of criteria for us to so-called accept the piece of data. Okay, you have to put them in square brackets, just like you do it for this. You have this bind property thing here. You need to put it in square brackets as well. So one of the most simple things that you should be putting here is the required tag. Okay, you have to put the required tag here. However, of course, if you just put the required tag here, it will complain. You say the type of namespace here, the required could not be found. Are you missing a directory or assembly reference? Answer is yes. You need to import something else into this as well. What is the thing you need to import? Now the thing you need to import is this thing over here, using System.ComponentModel.DataAnnotations. So let's copy that and paste. So this actually gives us access. Okay, this package gives or more correctly, namespace gives us access to the what do you call that, the model validation thingies. Okay, model validation, not called thingies, validation rules. Validation rules in square brackets. So I'm going to paste this thing here. You should be using this System.ComponentModel.DataAnnotations. Once you do that, you should be A-OK. You should be able to work this thing out. So let me resend this. Of course, this thing I just leave it at 0. Put a convert here. It will work. 0220. Press convert. It will work. Okay. So things are working okay. I make sure that this thing is required. If I take this thing out, put a convert. Okay, it will just revert to its default value. But yeah, that's the thing about this required. Okay, the thing that we were dealing with is that we need our validation thing to be within a certain range. So you see, here is the range thing that we can use. We need our maximum and temperature, or the value of the maximum temperature and minimum temperature in this range thing here. So that's what we want when we want to control the minimum and maximum values of this attribute or property. So we will change it. Okay, so range bracket, what's the minimum? Minus 459.67 Fahrenheit, and then the maximum will be 2.55 E32. Okay, I'll save, and of course I'll save this. I'll save everything as well. Okay, so things are changed. Let's resend. I hope this thing works. 999. Convert. Okay, I think I need to reload the page. Okay, this is the supposed to work. And then I will shut down and .NET watch again. Okay, to restore the session, somehow the whole browser crashed. Okay, minus 999. Okay, so there's one extra thing we need to do. Okay, one extra thing we need to do to make sure this validation thing actually works. So what's this extra thing we need to do? We don't just have to put this asp-for thing here, and then we have this range here. We need to actually tell what do you call that? Tell the C# or what that, yeah, I want to, or use the ASP tag helper to help us to validate the thing. So how do you use that? Okay, there's this thing called asp-validate-for. asp-validate-for. Okay, this is called the validation message tag helper, which we need to put in as an error message, so that hold on, wait, I think I'm going too fast. Okay, I think I missed one thing. Okay, before that, yeah, we actually need to use this thing, ModelState.IsValid. Okay, right. So forget what I said just now. All right. So the way to check, okay, the way to check whether something is valid is that, of course, first thing first, your values must fall within this range. It must be a required thing, and of course, it must be a number. Okay, or else, you know, nothing will really work. Okay, and of course, when you put this required and range here, you take a look at the HTML code. It actually differs a little bit. Okay, you see that the minimum and maximum are still there. Actually, I can remove the thing now. I can remove the minimum and maximum things over here. We don't need this anymore. Yeah, let's just inspect the code before we make further changes. Okay, so let's see. See, the data validation range minimum is this. Okay, data validation maximum is this much. However, when we press convert, it will still run the code, because whatever value you give it in here, whatever value you give into this box here, it will be passed onto this temperature in Fahrenheit. And then the moment you click this button, click this convert button, it will run the conversion code and it will give you the output. Okay, somehow this data actually falls outside the bounds that we have given it, but you know, the validation isn't automatic. You have to key in something. So what is that something? It is what we find on this page. What we find on this page: model validation in ASP.NET Core and MVC Razor pages. So the thing that changes when let's say your data falls outside this range right here, okay, you'll have this thing called model state, valid or not valid. Okay, model state is valid. So we can actually print out if the model state is valid over here. Okay, so let's just put a string, or rather, let me just put it here. Let me just add it to the output. String valid equals to, okay, okay, then I'll just put validation state colon and plus, okay, I'll put a model state is valid. Okay, and then I can convert it to string using this method, to string. Okay, so this is a boolean. Usually model state is valid is a boolean, or 1 or 0. Okay, you have to convert it to a string over here. Okay, we can use this convert to double, or we can use this to string function or method. Both of them will actually work. Okay, so let's put view data. We have to pass it to the view, remember? Okay, so we have to put this in the view data. Let's put it under the valid string. Okay, so we'll put this over here, and then I'll put over here add view data valid. Okay, so this should be able to print out the should be able to print out the validation state. Okay, so everything's working nicely. So let's resend everything. Okay, so see, validation state is false. Okay, because minus 999 is outside the valid range. But if I say 450 and I put a convert here, the validation state here will be true. Okay, so yeah, something is actually working, and we have to use this model state is valid. Okay, so again, if I put minus 1000, it's outside the range, so the validation is false. Okay, so the only thing that changes if the data is invalid is this variable here. Model state is valid, and model state is valid will be either true or false. This is what we call a boolean value. A boolean is either 1 or 0 or true or false. That is what we are talking about here. Okay, okay, what do we want to do if the model state is valid? Okay, if the model state is valid, we want to run this code right here. Okay, we want to run this code right here. So let's say we'll use if loops. So if you're not sure about if loops C#, here's for your reference. I did not go through it before. Okay, if something is true, run a function. If something is not true, don't then you use the other bits. So this is the syntax for if loop. It says here if condition. So if some condition is true, this block of code here is executed. So remember what we have here? We have a validation state. This is either a true or false value. So these are the kinds of values you use with if loops. So if so let's say if false, don't do anything. Okay, if true, then we calculate this whole thing. We will convert to degrees Celsius. We'll convert degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit. Anyway, so let's say minus 900, we convert, nothing happens. However, if we have this thing here, if false, okay, this code will not execute at all. That means if you pass this false thing into this if loop, and this if thing actually you need a bracket and a curly braces, just like any other function. Okay, if something is false, then this code, the code in the block will never execute. Okay, so you can resend this. You can put 256 convert, nothing will happen. Okay, so based on if loops will execute blocks of code based on whether you give it a true or false value. So that was what I was trying to explain. Okay, so model state is valid is either true or false based on whether your data actually fits in here. All right, so what we can do is this. We will put the model state is valid into this if loop, because this is either a true or false value. This is either a true or false value based on what data we give it. So if I do a minus 555, for example, I convert, okay, nothing will come out. Okay, nothing will come out. There's no error message or anything, but at least the thing doesn't calculate. All right. So of course, I don't want this anymore. This was just for demonstration purposes. Okay. And this was for demonstration purposes to show you what is this model state is valid. So when model state is valid, that means the data you pass into the model, the values you pass into the model. So models, remember, they are classes that hold data. Okay, all the data in the model should pass all these checks that you're putting it here. For example, it should be within this range, it should be required, and so on and so forth. Okay, so if model state is valid, then you convert this number. So 256 Fahrenheit, it will convert, but minus 999, it will not convert at all. So it saves us some trouble, in a sense. Okay, but the thing is that, of course, like Over here, if you put minus 300 degrees C, which is not what do you call that? Not physical, it will just say please select a value no less than minus 273.15. So we actually need some sort of error message to tell the user please put values within the correct range. How do we do that? Okay, now then we'll talk about this thing called validation message tag helper. So you'll have this thing called asp-validation-for. Okay, so this is also a tag helper. So you just put this thing here, span, okay, and close the span. So span things actually there are pieces of text that will display on certain conditions. So that's what the span thing will do. So if you want to put error messages, put it into the span thingy over here. Okay, span asp validation for, and then what do you want to do? I want to validate this thing here called temperature in Fahrenheit. So tempf. Okay, so tempf input and span asp validation for and asp4. Okay, once I save this, of course I'll save everything as well, and I look at .NET Watch. Okay, this thing should be able to work correctly. Okay, and then look at this. Now we have this field temperature in Fahrenheit must be between this number and this number. If not, it won't do anything. So at least there's an error message that you'll see. Oh, I need to do this. Maybe I'll just change it to 256. Okay, and of course this thing must change to some other value as well. I'll just leave it as 0. This is a workaround. But yeah, that's just a little bit about form validations using the ASP.NET Core method. Okay, so there are two ways of validation, or more than two actually, but I just showed you two. One is using this HTML way, the very manual way. The other thing is to use the automatic way, using the ASP.NET Core way, which is using this ASP4 tag helpers. Now, of course, you will need to do all this property binding. It's a little bit more complex, but yeah, that's how it's being done. Here's the function. Okay, and then of course you need to very importantly put in this if loop here. If not the thing will just keep calculating nonsense values, right? So if model state is valid, then you execute the line of code. Yeah. Now leave all of these things here. So that's important. And in order for us to have this required and range, thing, model validation tags or attributes, okay, model validation attributes, okay, you need to use the System.ComponentModel.DataAnnotations class or namespace. Pardon me, namespace. So that must be in there before you do it. Okay. You see, data annotations must be there in order for you to use all of these things, all of these things which determine the data validation. Right. Okay, so these are two ways of doing validation. So remember, use this package here and use these packages over here, and that will be all for today. Okay, so hope this is good. It helps you to get a feel of model validation. Okay, model validation and yeah, model validation. This is the model validation way versus the HTML way of doing validation. Okay, so that you can filter what is a valid value, what is not a valid value. Okay, thanks for watching. See you again. Bye bye.